Can you see me?
I sure can, dude.
Oh, okay. I think we're good then. Yeah.
All right.
You need me
All
to do
right.
some camera or anything like that?
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for joining, man. I asked no one with me. Nice to meet you.
Hi. How are you?
I'm doing
Okay.
very well. You're checking in from Los Angeles, I take it, with the King?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got the King shirt. I do. This is a hat of my daughter's roller derby team. It's called Los Anarchists, and they actually won the juniors championship 2 years ago in the world. So it was pretty awesome.
Whoa.
Yeah, so they're badass. So I'm, wearing some swag. You got the Metallica shirt. You got the James and the rocking chair.
Yep.
And Chucky on the kit.
We got all bases covered, John. Well,
Yeah.
I got to ask you, in roller derby, everyone has nicknames, right? So what's your daughter's nickname?
Oh, that's very observant of you. Yeah, she is Frightening Lightning.
Frightening Lightning. Is that the next? That should be an Armored Saint record title.
Yeah, well, it's got its metal vibe to it. There's no doubt about that. It sounds like it, but she's good. She's not too big. She's kind of small, but she's fast and she's sweet. Yeah, she's a sweet girl. She's 16 years old now. She's crazy, and she's been doing derby since 7. My son plays hockey. He's been playing since he was like 4 or 5, and he plays now. He's 14. He's in double bantams, which is AA bantams, which is pretty high level hockey. This is just one of my jobs. Mostly my job is driving my kids to their sports activities. So I'm an Uber driver for my kid. That's really like my main job.
Yeah. Well, that's a pretty cool job to have, man. So you have a son and a daughter, and what are their names, may I ask?
My daughter's name is Jezebel, and my son's name is Giuseppe. And it's kind of funny because that movie Marmaduke came out a few years ago. It was based on the comic Marmaduke, which is an old school comic from way back in the time. It's like when the Archies had comic strips and Blondie. This is you're way too young for this stuff. But in any case, let's see, what was I saying? I forgot. I lost my train of thought.
Yeah.
And the movie came out, and my son's name is Giuseppe, and 2 of the characters who were the dogs in that movie were Jezebel and Giuseppe. And my wife and I were like, what? Like, what? No, that's just too random, man. It was weird. Like, somebody knew us or something, because those are unusual names. And we never really found out if that was based on anything with our kids. I'm sure it wasn't, but it was pretty funny in retrospect.
And that was a movie that came out a few years ago?
That was the movie Marmaduke. It was,
Marmaduke,
it was a real movie based on the dog. He's like a big giant, it's not like a Great Dane. He was I forget what kind of dog it is now, but it's a large dog, and everything is based on him. They made the comic strip was based on him, called Marmaduke, and then they made a movie of it and stuff. And there was all these subordinate dog characters. It was a cute movie.
Very unique names. It's a beautiful thing, and everyone's doing fine in the Bush family with COVID and everything.
Yeah, right. We're lucky. Knock on wood. Nothing, no COVID here, thankfully yet. And trying to stay away from it.
Good. Well, thanks for sharing. That's awesome. I'm going to get back to your son and playing hockey. I'm born and raised playing hockey too. I love the sport.
Good.
Yeah, especially here in Buffalo, New York, the Buffalo Sabres, who have been, shit dead for.
I know. I feel bad for the Sabres because, Buffalo is such a blue collar town, and, they love their Bills and the Sabres, and it's a great city. It's just it's a rock city, it really is. I know it is. So,
right.
But I feel bad for the Sabres because they have, I don't think they've been in the playoffs for 15 years or something crazy like that.
It's crazy to think that we won the President's Trophy in 2010, which is the best record in the NHL in 2010. But yeah, since then.
They did. They won the President's Trophy in 2010. Did they lose that year to who? They lose to?
Ooh, in the
final Stanley Cup Finals, they did lose to. Was it Calgary?
Well, the cup, we
No.
went to the cup in '99 for the Stars, and then
Oh,
we
Stars.
had the slug days where it looked like the Sabres was like a slug on our jersey, you know. That was the Hurricanes took us out of the Eastern Conference,
Wow.
and then the Senators before then. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe it was, yeah. So you played hockey. What was your position?
Yeah, I was a right winger, John,
Oh,
and my
nice.
twin brother Ryan, he was right behind me in the right defense. So, you know, we'd meet people in the corner, and we're 6'1", you know, big
Oh,
dude
wow.
up there, and we had
Yeah.
the Jofa helmets on. You couldn't miss us, you know, those dick looking helmets.
How long did you play for? Like what, to what level?
We played high school,
Oh, you
and
did grad school?
then we went to school in Florida. There was no teams down there, so we weren't good enough for college. You know, those guys, man, those guys bash.
I know. My son's small too. That's because I'm small. So that's his only downfall. But he is fast. So
Yeah, I'm sure he's just as frightening as your daughter is on the roller derby course, huh?
that's cool. That's cool that you play some hockey. I get the vibe from you.
Oh, all the way, man. I mean, I'll bring it up right now. I was going to save it till later, but the previous guest on I Asked No One was Brian Slagle last
Yeah.
week, your buddy. And by the way, we have John Bush here, singer of Armored Saint, ex-singer of Anthrax, awesome dad, sports dad. And Brian, he wanted to ask me to tell you about ask you about your son's hockey, and didn't even have to get to that question. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah, it's cool. He plays for a new team out here. Now he plays for Valencia. They're called Santa Clarita now, but they're the Flyers, and they have a great organization. They have for a long time, and they lost their rink like 2 years ago before COVID. It was not really related to that, but then they got it back, and it was cool for the city because the city is kind of based around the rink, and that was a really sad moment when they lost it. And he started with the Junior Kings, and then he went and played for this other team called the Heat, and now he plays for the Flyers, and it's even farther away. So like you have to drive like an hour. Yesterday I was in traffic for like an hour and a half. Got there late. I had 2 other kids with me, so I got them all there late. But you know, it's LA. It's a nightmare at 5 o'clock on a Thursday in traffic.
Dude,
But
you know
but
what?
yeah, it's a cool organization, and I'm looking forward to a good season because his team is pretty badass. So
Now, are you the hockey dad on the stands, like getting really vocal and all sorts of stuff?
I try to compose myself. I've had those moments in the past.
Yeah.
And now when I see people like that, and I'm certainly surrounded by some of them, I just think you are insane. You need to get out of here and go like take a walk because you look like an idiot. You know,
Right.
so yeah, we've had some crazy moments. Obviously, this is about rock and roll and heavy metal, and we don't want to get sidetracked. But I'll just say that there was a big brawl at a tournament in St. Louis a few months back that was really ugly that our team was involved in, and it was just like an all-time low what I had experienced, and I was like literally traumatized by what I was witnessing. And
Was that on the ice?
no, it was in the
Was in the
stands.
stands? Oh shit! Damn.
So it's just like I try to just stay mellow now. I get caught up in it as we all do, but you know, like I said, it was a big brawl that happened, and it was embarrassing. You just see you really look at the parents. I mean, like when you see that, and you're just like, you guys are idiots. You're
Right.
idiots. You know, I'm sorry. It's just the truth. So
Yeah.
I don't want to be an idiot anymore. I've been it. Usually my son looks at me from the ice and just like, you're an idiot, you know. And so I don't do it anymore. I try to be calm.
You know, you mentioned you're short and powerful, man. You got your voice so your voice could probably carry you to the Zamboni area, huh?
Yeah. Well, I get, you know, my wife and my kids are saying that I always yell at them, and I'm not. I don't yell. I'm just loud. That's what I do. I sing, you know. So I project, you know, clean your room. It sounds like I'm yelling. I guess it does, but I don't really mean it that way sometimes. Sometimes I do.
Well, honored to have you on. Really huge privilege. And next year is the 40th anniversary of Armored Saints. And I just have to say cheers to you. Future concert here.
Yeah.
A little early in California.
It is. It's only 8:15, dude, but I'm ready for some more coffee. I made some. I might have to like have you pause me for like 30 seconds so we can get coffee.
All good, brother. Yeah, whenever you want.
Yeah, you're hitting the Jaeger. You're a beast.
The top of
It's
every.
Friday. It's Friday. You know.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It
Come on.
is.
Come on.
And today is Friday the 13th. It's August the 13th.
That's true. I forgot about that. Well, my birthday is in 11 days. Sorry.
Oh,
So
nice. Happy early birthday.
thank you. Thank you. I'll be 58 years old. I can't believe it. I still feel like I'm 30. Well, that's not true. My shoulder doesn't really. But nah, I feel pretty good actually. But Father Time marches on.
That's right. That's right. You look great, man. By the way,
Thanks.
you look great.
Wow.
So
I
today
saw
I'm
the makeup I had for this morning's Zoom call.
Oh, really?
I had a makeup artist and she worked with me.
Oh, that's cute.
7 a.m. No, I'm joking.
My dad hosts a wine television show here in town called Spiel the Wine, going on 10 years or so.
Oh,
and we
nice.
joke about he's got the makeup on that he's got to, take off, and it's funny.
Well, he should get Joey Vera on that because Joey, knows a lot about wine and not me. I just know what tastes good and but Joey's a connoisseur and so that could be your angle.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to have him on and talk a little wine. We talk a little hockey here, maybe talk a little wine over there with Joey.
Oh, he would love to. He would love to. Yeah.
Right on. Well, August the 13th in 1994. So today in 94 was Woodstock 94.
Wow.
We're talking Metallica, Chili Peppers, Porno for Pyros, from Canned Heat to Crosby, Stills, Nash.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah, you knew of Woodstock 94 when it happened. Did you have any friends that were there or performing? Well, a bunch of friends.
You know what? I was probably bitter that Anthrax didn't play. So I probably rejected it because we didn't get offered to play. Because I was 94, I was in the band, joined in 92. Sound of White Noise came out in 93. So we should have been on the bill in retrospect. And we weren't. So I probably was just bitter and going, I'm not watching it. I remember Nine Inch Nails had the breakthrough performance there when they were all in the mud and it was spontaneous, or at least that's what they said. They were just starting a mud fight because it was all rainy and then they went on stage like that. And that was, I think, one of the fonder memories that people have of it. But it was huge. It was a mega crowd and there was some ugliness in the crowd, I heard, but what are you going to do? I mean, it was when you get that many people in one setting, you're probably going to have some craziness, but it was cool.
Right. Yeah, I was doing a little research on the night, and Primus performed. Jerry Cantrell actually came on for a song, but during My Name Is Mud, the fans were chucking mud at them. And to this day, he's still in his signature amps that he's had for all he's got still these clumps that just can't leave, these marks from the mud on his amps.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, you might as well keep them in there they're probably turning prehistoric or something, or something.
Fossilized. Yeah, exactly. Today's quote of one of my favorite presidents and philosophers: "Those who look for the bad in people will surely find it." I think it's pretty easy these days for anyone to look in the bad of any situation or person. So,
who said it?
Abe Lincoln. President Lincoln.
Well, there we go. Okay, that sounds about right.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's very true. Abe was, he knew what he was talking about in regards to many things, obviously. And although who knows what people would think of Abe these days? He'd probably be getting grief, in all honesty. You will find it, and I mean, I'm usually a pretty optimistic guy, really, for the most part. I can get on my soapbox a bit. Yeah, I can get on my soapbox a bit. But obviously, I do think we're going through a weird time right now, not just in the U.S., but internationally, where, the divisions of people's perspective is becoming really clear and blatant, and people are really polarized. And I think the biggest problem, look, whatever you believe, for me personally, when it comes to things like politics and stuff, I try to kind of see the individual situation and say, how do I feel about this? I was reading the paper today. I love, being aware of the news and what's happening. It's very important to me. And I think it's really important to just take case by case and have your opinion on it. And based on all the information that you can garner from that, I'm not going to align with a political party. To me, that's the ultimate non-metal thing to me. Like, I can't imagine going, I'm a Democrat. Oh, I'm a Republican, and that's my political party. Like, what? I hate them all, you know, quite honestly. I mean, I don't trust any politicians, right or left. So, but that being said, like, I try to take a case by case basis and say, how do I feel about this? And then try to have an open discussion regarding it. And I don't think people are doing that, unfortunately. They're either really a hardcore left or really a hardcore right, and nobody wants to really talk. They just want to stay true to what they think, and they just basically ostracize or put their arm up towards the other person. And I think that's a problem. I think you need to listen. You can listen to somebody for 5 minutes, and at the end you can say, I don't agree with you, but you can at least listen. Take the time to listen. But everybody does this, man. Look, you know, we have our keyboards, right?
Sure.
Throw out their agenda and throw out their stuff, especially behind this thing, the computer, right? This is a veil here. You're very safe in this world here, right?
Yes.
So, but it's less safe to just have one-on-one conversations. And I think that's what we need to do, and just communicate, man. We may not agree on things, and that's all right, but listen, and that's the problem. So, you know, if you don't listen and you just think that person's wrong and that person's stupid, or I disagree, then it falls into what Abe said, and that is, if you want to find, you know, the worst in people, you'll find it.
That's very true. 5 years ago this November, Metallica released their latest record, Hardwired to Self-Destruct. And Kirk Hammett was asked, you know, what's point blank, what's the meaning behind this record? And he took a moment and he's like, well, probably to be more open. And it's exactly what you're talking about, is to be more open, you know, to everyday's possibilities. So amen to that.
And who wants to live confined? You know, to me, that's restrictive. Like, I don't want to, the world is awesome. You know, there's so many amazing things about it. And being in a band, we've had the luxury of traveling. I always say that, you know, Armoured Saint did our first tour. Our first tour was opening for Quiet Riot and Whitesnake in 1984, going out playing arenas. You know, unfortunately, that was like one of the highlights, and things kind of went down from there. Not completely, of course, but we were playing like Cobo Hall in Detroit, and, you know, Market Square Arena. These arenas are probably gone now, sadly enough, but in Indianapolis, and, you know, Richfield Coliseum in Cleveland, like arenas were, because I'm a huge basketball fan, so it was all the places where basketball and hockey teams were playing, right? Joe Louis, we played Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, you know, so,
sick.
You know, we were so fortunate, and I always say that was our college education. I didn't go to college, you know, sometimes I wish I would have, but I wasn't a good student from high school on. I just didn't care anymore. And I kind of regret that, actually. That's something I try to convey to my son. And then he'll say, you weren't a good student. I'm like, I know, but it was dumb. I'm not saying that's the path you should go. Get as much information that you can in life. And, you know, because education is power, let's face it. So, I don't know. For me, that was what happened. We went into rock and roll and touring, and that was my education. That was my college education, and I did learn a lot from that. And when you go on the road and you travel and you go to different countries, you definitely get the culture from various places, and you do learn a lot. And it's very eye opening, and I'm very grateful for that. So,
yeah, as you should be. Wow, you have been all over the world many times over, and
well, there's places I haven't been, but I would like to go.
Sure. What place do you want to? What place would you want Armoured Saint to play that you haven't played yet?
Right, I saw that in one of your questions, although we might not be going according to the numbers. But well, Armoured Saints never really. It took us a long time to tour Europe. Sadly enough, this is like one of my biggest regrets. Although I don't, it doesn't keep me awake at night. But you know, for years, Armoured Saint didn't go to Europe. It wasn't until we did the Saints Will Conquer live record that we actually stepped foot on European soil, which we played the Dynamo Festival in 1989 in the Netherlands. And that was the first time we actually went to Europe. And that was technically, if you think of our EP, which came out in '83, that was 6 years after that. And so, here we were, this band that we were from LA, but we always had more kind of a European British trip to our sound. And, we were very revered over in Europe, and we were getting on the cover of magazines throughout, Britain and Europe, and we never went. And it was just lame. It was ridiculous. It was, to this day, is something that's just like, it really kind of put us back, and it could have changed our career. It's, I'm over it for the most part, but it is something that was pretty dumb, and it was, political, not political. It was more of a business, just bad decisions in conjunction with the label and the management. And we just couldn't get it together. But all our peers were going, Anthrax, Testament, Metallica, and everybody's, Rat, W.A.S.P. We were like, well, they're all going. Where are we going? It costs too much, but they're going.
Yeah.
What?
Right.
So anyway, that's something that's very frustrating for me. But we finally made up for it. We've obviously gone to Europe many times since then, and played many shows, many festivals, and they're always amazing. But we never really did like a proper tour of Scandinavia, other than we played the Sweden Rock Festival, which is a pretty big festival, and that was, I think, in '01, so it was a long time ago. But we never played like Norway or Finland or Sweden, other than that festival. Denmark. So that's like, we really are overdue to go to Scandinavia and do some shows, because we've never played. And I did those places with Anthrax, and the shows are always amazing. The crowd's always great. So it's that's a place that we need to go. Plus, we never really did a proper tour of like France or Spain. We played festivals there, but we never really did that. I would love to go to Turkey. I'd love to go to Korea with Armored Saint. Who knows? You could even go to India. A lot of bands are playing there now. There's a lot of places still to go.
Yeah, you know it, man. Next year is 40 years since Armored Saint was formed, and cheers to the next 40 years, right? You got all that time to get out there, and if ever you get a chance to go to Helsinki, Finland. My twin brother and I, we were there a few years ago, right before pandemic. And we were at the ice arena there. You like hockey? It's just this old school ice arena, and we saw Till Lindeman's solo band of Rammstein. Peter,
cool.
Peter Tekkeren, his former guitarist, was just on a few weeks ago. So you click up there and check out that episode.
Yeah, I love Finland. It's cool.
Yeah.
I toured there with Anthrax in the winter, and it's it's cold and dark, but it's very, very metal, of course. Great crowds in Finland.
Yeah.
And it's weird. My wife actually, before we met, lived in Finland for like 6 months. She at the time was dating a guy who played an American football league in Finland. So he was the quarterback on a team in Finland that it was just a Finnish team of American football, which is weird because you don't think that would be big there. And it probably had like kind of a counterculture popularity. But so she lived in Finland for like 5-6 months, and we could count or say dog in Finnish, but we always laugh about that. But yeah, I love going there. I love taking the ferry from Sweden to Finland, and that's always a fun adventure.
That does sound fun. At 6'1", we were a little short actually in that arena. It was something Ron and I were looking at each other like, what the hell, man? No wonder Finland's so good at hockey. These guys are just big as fuck.
Oh yeah, they're huge. I think maybe is it Denmark or one of those Scandinavian countries out of the tallest. Well, Netherlands are right up there too, as far as height goes. But yeah, I mean, great hockey players from Finland, of course. Jari Kurri, going back to those Edmonton Oilers days, amazing. What's his name? What's
Solani?
Timo Solani. He's amazing. Played for the Ducks out here for years, and great players. I think they, they're always up there in the top, gold contending teams in the Olympics, and it's real fun.
Right. Well, right here, right now, we have John Bush, again, for our viewers of Armored Saint, formerly of Anthrax. And today's Friday the 13th. So I just want to start just real quick here. What is your scariest horror movie? Is there a movie that you just can't watch ever again?
Oh, well, ever again. I think I'm okay watching something again. I used to get scared when I was a kid of movies, but now that I'm a man, I should be able to do it. One of my favorite, it's not a classic horror movie, but is still like a movie that always had an impact on me, was The Thing from John Carpenter, his remake of that.
Never saw it.
Oh, you never saw the John Carpenter Thing? Oh, dude,
no.
That is what you're doing tonight.
Okay.
Okay, you're doing that tonight.
I'm gonna do that tonight. All right,
yeah.
What's happening?
Okay, you got to. The Thing, it was John Carpenter. He did Halloween and The Fog and made many movies. And The Thing was one of his best movies and had great music. Soundtrack was by Morricone, who's just recently passed away, Italian music.
He did the soundtrack for that. Oh, shit.
He did the soundtrack for that, along with John Carpenter. John Carpenter did a lot of music for a lot of his movies. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, he also wrote the theme for Halloween, which is, very famous. Dun, 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 dun.
Yep.
I think he wrote
Nine Inch Nails. Nine Inch Nails, great cover of that song, by the way.
Oh, sure, sure. So they did the music together. Kurt Russell's in it. Wilford Brimley, a guy named Keith David, who actually, ironically enough, his kids went to my kids' school. So I used to see him at school as a parent. And I was like, oh my God, it's Keith David. Like, he's amazing. That was one of his first movies. He does a bunch of voiceover work. He's an incredible actor. Yeah, so that's a great movie. The special effects, I think, were ahead of its time. And it just creates this weird vibe, and it's great lines, some great dialogue in it, some really funny stuff in there. Yeah, it's great. I think that The Thing is probably one of my favorite. Of course, we're always going to be connected with Hellraiser, because Armoured Saint, I don't know if you know, that was in the Hellraiser 3 movie. We had a cameo in that as a band playing in the club that Pinhead goes and his cronies, and they kill everybody. That was really fun to do that and be part of it. I didn't really love that movie. I did love the first 2 Hellraisers. The third one I thought was a little bit weak, but yet somebody told me recently, and I don't know if this is truthful, is that the actor who did Pinhead, that was his favorite one. So I don't know if that person was just giving me a little lip service or what, but I was like, oh, well, all right, cool.
Yeah, run with that.
I am running.
Well, The Thing, yeah, my favorite's got to be Halloween. Shining, yeah, but favorite Halloween. And The Thing is on the TV when in that one of those scenes, with the intro, and that's the only part of it that I've seen. So
that's funny. Yeah,
watching it tonight, and I'm gonna message you how I think about it.
You got to, dude. It's a great movie. It's a classic, horror movie, I think. So.
Well, my twin brother says hello from.
All right, hello, twin brother. What's his name?
Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan and I saw you perform with Metallica at the Fillmore in San Francisco in 2011.
Oh, cool.
Us diehards, we called it the Fillmore flu, because everyone got sick. Everyone got in line for 15 to 17 hours to see each of these 4 nights of their 30th anniversary outside the Fillmore. And here's me with hair down to my shoulders. And it was night 2 or 3, and Armoured Saint opened for Metallica at one of those nights 10 years ago this December. And a little history of John Bush here. John was asked to be the singer of Metallica back then, because, way back when, because Hetfield was do I play guitar? Do I sing? I don't want to do both. So if you could just briefly highlight how did it feel to be asked to join Metallica to sing?
For that show, or?
For back when, yeah.
Okay, well, what I always tell people in regards to this, primarily just so I don't come off like the ultimate idiot who didn't join Metallica, because I do have to live with that. The reality is that at that time, Metallica, who certainly were gaining popularity in at that time, and we're talking like 1983, 82. So was Armoured Saint. We actually started we got a lot of popularity really quickly here in Los Angeles. It's internationally as well, because people would be sending tapes, and that's how Metallica became very popular. This is pre-computer, of course. People were sending cassettes out, and that's how, to various writers and people, international pen pals, whatever, and that's how popularity started to kind of spread. And Metallica really did that very well. and we try to follow in that footsteps as well. And we did as well too, was saying, but we really got popular here in Los Angeles really quickly. You know, a lot of it was due to a group of friends who would come to our shows and go crazy, and then it would just spread. People would be like, "Oh my God, look at this band! They're crazy. They're these rabid fans," and it really spread really quick. And so we were doing well, and all the guys in Saint and me, you know, Joey, Gonzo, myself, and Phil, you know, we grew up a quarter mile, if less than that, from one another in this little town here in Los Angeles called El Sereno, which is a very small community in East LA, and we were friends. I mean, I met Joey and Gonzo when we were probably 8 or 9 years old. So at that point, and we were saying 19, 20, at that point, we already had like a, you know, 11, 12-year relationship developed from then. And we were only, you know, again, 19, 20, because we knew each other so long at that point. And so we were close. We were really good friends. We believed in this band that we had, and we were doing well. We were kicking butt and getting popular. And so I was into it. It was my passion. And at that point, to just say, I'm out of here, I'm going to go join this other band, it just made no sense to me. It just was illogical, because I was already doing well in this band. I was flattered, of course, and will always eternally be flattered to be asked that. But at that time, I wanted to stay in my own band. And so it was an easy decision, quite frankly.
Sure.
You know, of course, like I said, I'm always grateful that they wanted me to sing for them. And that was the beauty of the Fillmore and the 30th anniversary shows, is that I got on stage with them, and it was a theory of like, this could have been the case. You know, we did the Four Horsemen, and it was really amazing. But, you know, as I always say, it was never anybody's fate other than James to be the voice of Metallica. That was what Metallica was supposed to be. I mean, I was never supposed to be in it. It just wasn't meant to be. It was supposed to be his voice eternally to sing in that band. And that's just the way I see it. So it makes it easy to think of it like that. James became an amazing singer as time went on. He really, you know, in his early days, he was trying to find his way, but man, as time went on, he was extremely commanding in the way he sang, and still does, of course. And he just really developed his own style and power and conviction. And it was cool to watch that, you know, it really was, especially because I saw Metallica open for Saxon at the Whiskey in, wow, it must have been 82. I don't think it was 81. It must have been 82. Yeah. The Eagle Has Landed, which is a live record. Saxon was touring. Metallica opened that show, and James was just singing. It was pre-guitar even. Mustaine, Rob McGovney, and Lars, and you know, he was just singing, and he didn't look quite very comfortable in that setting even then. And I think once he put his guitar on, and then he became the front man with the guitar, and you know, obviously it's funny because he was just singing, and he was such an amazing rhythm player. It's weird to think that he was actually at one point just singing, but he was. And you know, again, his development as a front man is just remarkable and unbelievable. And you know, that's the guy whose voice is meant to be in that band. So it's, again, I don't ever feel, of course, you know, this has come up, it will come up until I'm dead, and it'll probably still come up, and my kids are
bring it up, but yeah,
no, it's okay. I mean, I laugh, but you know, my kids will have to answer the question. Well, your dad, he was stupid. He didn't join Metallica. What a moron. You know, so I mean, it just wasn't meant to be. That's the way I see it. You know, that's how I think of it. So
any funny memories with James backstage during this time? Because Brian Slagla mentioned last week, you guys, you know, were opening, or you guys were playing with each other. You guys were touring with each other.
Yeah, we played local shows at the Country Club, also up in the Bay Area, at the Keystone, Palo Alto, and the Stone in San Francisco, which was, you know, now gone, but was an amazing venue that everybody played up there. And then we toured with them. On the March of the Saint record, our second run after the Quiet Riot one was the Metallica W.A.S.P. Armoured Saint tour, which is, to this day, is still a tour people talk about a lot. And we played the Salty Dog, which is in Buffalo, New York. And there's a very famous, that's a kind of a famous gig because it was the night of a Super Bowl, and it was a blizzard, and it was a gnarly blizzard. But we still did this show, and it was a great gig. And I remember the big, there was a big TV set up in the room showing the Super Bowl. Was I think the Dolphins and the 49ers, Montana. And the Niners kicked their butt, and then we had to stay in Buffalo for about 2 or 3 days after that because it was such a bad blizzard. People couldn't get out of the city. Like all the roads were closed. And you would know that more than me because you live there and you experience it, I'm sure, on somewhat of a regular basis. So it was a great memory of playing that city and on that tour. And that was a great tour because it was just, it was Ride the Lightning, it was March of the Saint, it was the first W.A.S.P. album. All bands were, hitting on all cylinders, and it was just fun. It was a great tour, and we had funny memories every night. Just probably a lot of drinking, debauchery, as you will, and having a good time and watching Metallica. And I'm sure that they were inspiring. I know they were inspiring to us. Hopefully, we were inspiring to them. W.A.S.P. was killing it, and it was fun. Chris Holmes, he's a maniac, and it was cool.
Right. Damn. So you're stuck in Buffalo. It's funny, I had a backstage pass at the Big Four in Indio. I asked Lars, hey, you got any memories of Buffalo and New York? And he's like, looks up. That was the first date we were ever snowed in on, ever, and you were there.
That's a good Lars impersonation, by the way.
Yeah. It's from the bottom of my Danish heart. That was awesome. But yeah, you were here in Buffalo for a few days. Do you remember what you ate? Or did you do anything?
I remember we were in the hotel. Luckily, it was like a Hilton or something. So we weren't, why we were in a Hilton at that point, I don't know, because everybody's on a pretty low budget. So we should have been at like a Red Roof Inn or Motel 6 because that's probably what we were. That was within the parameters of a budget for that tour, I'm sure. But for some reason, we were in a pretty nice hotel. And luckily, because, again, we couldn't go anywhere. I don't think we could even go outside. It was that cold and snowy. And, I think again, we're talking a long time ago, so my facts may be a little bit off, but I feel like they ran out of food. So the room service was kind of closed after a while because they just didn't have any. And some guys might have been scourging, the cabinets in the kitchen at late night hours looking for food. So it was pretty funny.
Damn. Well, just to go back to performing the Four Horsemen, how did it feel to finally get up there and perform that with them at the Fillmore? Because I'll say, just about an hour ago, I was rewatching it first time in years, and I could not stop smiling. You could just tell how excited you were to be up there. You absolutely killed it. I'll include a link to the performance below. It's at 500,000 views. And I remember at the end of the song, you let out the scream, that classic John Bush scream, and you took it even further. It was like this squeal scream. And I remember watching it up front, and I remember James just grinning ear to ear because you could just, eyes wide and like, whoa, I'm sure that was fun being up on stage with them.
It was a great gig, it was a great memory. My wife came up, we had a couple friends come up, and it was just a rad party. It was fun to be there. There was a lot of other, celebrities there, if you will. Lou Reed was there because he had played with Metallica. Marianne Faithfull was there because she did that song with Metallica. King Diamond was there. They played a couple Merciful Fate songs. It was fun. A lot of people were at the show just hanging out. I think I remember Billy from Green Day was there, right? And it was a fun moment. Jason obviously was there. So it was a great show. I think they played just about every song from their catalog, right? On those 4 shows, it wasn't that their objective to play almost every single song. And I remember Kirk had like a music stand because he didn't remember certain songs, which I thought was kind of endearing because he probably didn't, and he had to kind of relearn things, or I don't know. I don't think Kirk was reading music per se, but he might have had some handwritten notes. But I thought it was cool. It was a really fun thing that they did for their fans and the fan club, and And Metallica does that. You know, they do these really inventive things, and like the symphony stuff. And you know, it doesn't. The thing about what I always say is like, not, especially if you have a long career, not everything is going to be a hit. Not everything is going to go bullseye on the target. It's just not reality. You know, it's just not. Some things you'll be like, you know, if you're around long enough, there will be moments that, you know, you won't always hit the target. It's hard to have Master of Puppets every single album. It's hard to do that. You know, it's just, it's impossible, quite honestly. It's the same with like a director, you know, Martin Scorsese, not every movie is Goodfellas, you know, it's just not. And that was the one, or, you know, well, Taxi Driver, whatever. But you know what I mean? Like, if you have a long enough career, you'll probably have a couple moments that maybe dip in what people look back on as you know, defining moments that were, you know, pivotal in your career. But that's okay, because you had a long career and there will be peaks and valleys. I mean, I don't think Metallica had too many valleys once they hit it, as far as popularity, but you know, in people's opinions about certain albums or things like that, you know, maybe they didn't feel the love as much. But again, I think that's all very normal. And when you have a long career, and I think that's a good thing, because it's impossible to say I had a 40-year career, every single record was equally as amazing. You know, that's bullshit. This is bullshit. It's not going to be the case. Yeah, I love the Stones, and I mean, they're still touring. You know, people are dropping off and this and that, and they're, you know, they're still going to play the new Sophie Stadium where the Rams are going to play, and it's just like, damn, still going.
Stadiums.
Still going.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just remarkable. But not everybody can be the Stones. You know, they're the Stones, man. It's just like, wow.
Yep.
And not every record of the Stones was genius. It just wasn't, you know. But
right.
But you know, the name and the moniker, and you know, the association with these legendary bands, and Metallica is that. They are a legendary band. You know, certainly arguably one of the biggest bands of all time, I think, you know, internationally, regardless of metal or anything. It's just one of the biggest artists of all time. So it's you know, that's quite a feat.
Yeah, there's the 30th anniversary. It was 81 songs and 4 nights that they performed. And
so it wasn't every single song, or was it?
No, it wasn't every single song. It was just about. I mean, jaws were dropping left and right all week long. And Lars, he quoted it on Jericho's podcast in 2016. He said, "It's the greatest fucking week of my life." He meant it, you know. And this December is going to be the 40th anniversary. You know, God willing, I'll be there. And are you going to be there? Are you going to be performing? You hear anything about that?
No, I'm not. But that's cool. But that's kind of really scary to think that's already 10 years now later. That's really that's terrifying.
That's crazy. Yeah, it was nuts. Just one last Metallica bit. Black Album, 30th anniversary was this week. My all-time favorite record. First time I ever cracked a cymbal was Sabatru, you know, bashing out. What is there a song that you would love to cover off the Black Album that stands out to you with your voice?
You know, it's I always was partial to, or the song I really liked, you know, that stuck out the most for me was, I mean, there's a lot of great songs. Obviously, Sabatru is one of them, sure. But Wherever I May Roam is, I thought that song just kind of had that, felt like a movie. You're watching a movie when you listen to that song, and it was just very thematic. It's a great tune and great lyrics, and you feel like you're on a journey. And I really dig that song. It's, you know, probably one of my favorites.
It's the namesake of my podcast. Is I Ask No One from the second verse. Wherever I May Roam. Love it.
Yeah, great song. Amazing.
You're Sicilian, and so am I. Lavallo and, well,
that's
Bush.
Cool.
Is it Bushy Cha? Is that?
It was, well, you know, I did 23andMe not that long ago, and I had heard from relatives from my dad's side, some of his sisters who are now deceased, but they said that it really originated in Albania. So it's Bushikia. And then they went to Sicily, and then the family was in Sicily for a while, and then from Sicily they came to the U.S. So I probably have some Sicilian Italian in me, but I also have some Albanian, as well. And I was like, Albanian. But John Belushi is a very famous Albanian and one of my favorite comics, especially from the Animal House movie. That was amazing and had a big impact on my life. So I'll embrace my Albanian side. But yeah, my dad, he loved making a killer Italian food and veal cutlets, which was like a staple at our house every couple weeks, and an amazing cook, and the house would smell just amazing. And I wish my dad was still around. He would be over 100 now, so I could see why he isn't. But yeah, it's weird. My parents, they kind of had me later in age, which is a bit of a bummer because I had my kids later in age. And so that's something that a little bit is daunting to me, because I know that, you might have less time because you didn't have kids. I was not ready to have children in my 20s or 30s by any means. Well, I had them in my 30s, late 30s, but certainly not 20s, which I'm glad I didn't. But I just wasn't there, obviously, to do that capable. But yeah, I do. I miss my parents, and my dad was the real Italian guy. He was what you would expect.
Do you cook his sauce at all? Do you cook his veal cutlets?
I don't, but who does is back to Joey. Joey is a big time cook, and he has a recipe. I think he just kind of he remembered what my dad told him, because he was taking notes in his mind and paying attention when I probably was not. But my dad, Joey, was close with my parents. He almost like lived at my house for a long time, a big part of his youth. He was always at our house, and he was paying attention. So I think he remembered how my dad made a particular sauce, and he replicated that recently, a couple of years ago. But he was telling me about it, and I was like, whoa. He's a vegetarian, so he probably wouldn't be too stoked on making veal cutlets at this point. Although he'd probably make them for me, and then I'd happily eat them. And I know it's feel bad for the baby calf, but well.
Right. You got a favorite pasta at all?
I like pasta. I do.
Yeah.
Probably just spaghetti and meatballs would be a classic go-to. But my son is a huge pasta fan. He likes it a specific way, whether it's fusilli or whatever it is, penny. But he just likes it with butter, a little olive oil, and he could probably eat pasta every single day. Luckily, he's playing hockey, and those carbs are going to good use. But spaghetti and meatballs, but it would probably be veal cutlet would be the thing that I would go to. That would be the memory of my youth and the Italian food that I really feel connected to.
Well, next time you come to Buffalo, New York, people think of the snow and everything first, and rightfully so, from Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, getting pounded. But food, one of the greatest food towns, not only in the country, but in the world. So next time Armoured Saint comes through Buffalo, New York, one, would love to meet you in person. And two, I'd like to give you a recommendation. If you wanted to pick up some takeout, I'd be more than happy to bring you some of the best veal cutlets you may ever have.
Well, I would love to. Saint hasn't played Buffalo in a long time.
It's been a while. Yeah.
I have it in my mind to play. I'm pretty good at remembering where we played and where we haven't played, and I try to make a conscious effort of pushing us to go play certain territories that we haven't been to, or never, or it's been a while. And Buffalo has, I think the last time we played Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken, was maybe like Symbol of Salvation. So it's been a long time.
Wow.
Like when the record first came out, it might have been 30 years ago, wow. Which is just insane. So I remember we played this, it was summer, and it was this club that was like, it was like a made up beach. I don't think it was on the lake, but it might have been. And I can't recall the name of it. Sometimes I look up setlistfm.com. You ever look at that?
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's great. I don't want to know, like if I'm going to a show, I don't want to know what songs bands are playing, because then I might be like, so I don't want to know, but I'd like to consult it, for old shows. And I actually use it in conjunction with Armoured Saint shows, because I'll look, what did we play last time we were here? I'm like, oh, well, let's mix up the set. I don't know if it's completely accurate, of course. It's like Wikipedia, I'm sure it's not, but it always kind of feels like it does. It is. And so I consulted a lot to try to change the setup from what we played last time. So I like to do that. And I don't want to be on my phone while we're talking, but if I looked, I could probably figure out real quick what that venue was.
Oh, please go for it.
Now. And it was, let me see, just give me 1 second. I know this is ridiculous.
No problem, John.
Let's see if I can find it. You know, obviously, the infamous show was, okay, Sinbad's. You remember that? I mean, you're too young, dude, but I mean.
I'm 33, you know, I was born in 88. I was definitely not at that show.
Okay, well, it was September 9th, 1991. So what year were you born?
Okay, 88 March.
So you weren't there at 3 years old?
Oh, man.
Why?
My parents, what the fuck?
Dude, you were a toddler. You could have gone nuts on the beach, but that was the place. Sinbad's Cheektowaga. That's the city. So,
just hearing you say Cheektowaga, Lars said Lars is in one of the Buffalo, we're talking 09 Magnetic Tour, a fan asked him, or no, he asked the fan, oh, where are you from? Well, Cheektowaga. He's like, Cheektowaga. And this is funny hearing you say.
So I said it right, though.
Cheektowaga. You did. You said it a lot better than Lars, yeah.
That's a Native American name, of course, right there. And that sounds like it was Symbol of Salvation because we opened with Rain of Fire. So that was the last time. Actually, those are the only 2 times we ever played. That one in the Salty Dog Show, 1995, was here as well. So
wow. Well, whether it's Buffalo or Cleveland or Toronto, or whatever the fuck, I'm gonna find you and bring you some veal cutlets from Buffalo, and that's all there is to it. All right.
I would be so excited about that.
Yeah.
So
honored. So let's see. While we're talking about tour, just to close that off, any crazy tour moment that stands out to you? Maybe when you were performing on stage and you just witnessed something crazy or something backstage.
Well, let me think here. I'm always stumped at the moment when I get asked questions like that. And of course, I have like a Rolodex of I played so many shows in my life that I should have many memories. Well, you mentioned Chris Jericho. I remember playing a show in Chicago with Anthrax, and I'm not the biggest wrestler fan. I am a big sports fan, but I just wasn't the biggest wrestler fan, as you know, I can attest to. And he was there, and he was going nuts, and I didn't know who he was. And I ended up like getting on his shoulders. It was an outdoor venue. I can't remember. It was a festival, but I can't recall the name of what the festival was. This was like '98. It was the Volume 8 tour. And I ended up getting on his shoulders and running through the crowd. And, you know, people were going nuts. And then afterwards, I'm like, who is that guy? And they're like, what? It's Chris Jericho. He's a wrestler. And I was like, oh, shit, really? I did. You know, he is a pretty big Armored Saint fan, and he is a big, huge music fan. And obviously, he's got his own music career that's going extremely well right now himself. So it's pretty cool. He's a very nice man. But that was pretty funny. I remember just, you know, that's the first thing that pops in my head because you said his name. But that was a great gig, and it was a rad show. I don't want to go to Setlist FM to try to find that one, but it was in Chicago. It was like the burbs of Chicago, and I was on that tour, and it was really fun. And Rammstein played there as well. I remember, might have been near. Well, maybe it was in Chicago. Maybe it was Milwaukee, because I felt like it was that big venue, Alpine Theater. I don't remember, but it was somewhere
98 summer.
Yeah, it was in that area. It was in Chicago, Milwaukee area, and it was a big festival. And,
okay.
It was great. You know,
I'll do some homework on that. I'll do some digging and I'll try and find that one. Setlist FM is definitely a good time. But again, here we have John Bush, Armored Saint singer, 40 years next year, motherfucker, and ex-Anthrax singer. But for every subscriber, I make a little donation to the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention, of which I am on the board, directly affected by the loss of my friend Michael J. Holden in 2018. So hit a like, hit a subscribe if you're finding any value in what we're talking about here. Again, quite an honor. And I know there's been some losses, you know, Metal Church, the singer from Metal Church, and Dusty from ZZ Top, and Joey Jordison more recently. But of course, your buddy, your pal, the founding member of Armored Saint, Dave Pritchard, who passed from leukemia, and my Papa Len Santo Lavello passed away that next year from leukemia too. So If you could just maybe share what his loss has meant to you, how it has fueled you to move forward, and maybe some of the other people you've lost in this industry.
Well, and Mike Howe is certainly one that really, I couldn't believe I heard the news about him passing away recently from Metal Church. We had just did a tour with Metal Church not too long ago, just in Europe. We went to play a bunch of dates in Europe with Metal Church, some festivals as well, a lot of headline shows together. And we did some shows out here in America as well on the West Coast, played Chicago, Portland, Seattle, amongst other places, San Francisco and LA. And Mike was just an incredible singer, powerful voice, great vibe. I'm still pretty flabbergasted about his passing. And I'm really like, I just can't believe it. You know, like Mike, we shared a bus just recently, and you know, we did a bunch of interviews together because people wanted to interview the two singers when we were on tour together. He was such a great voice, and yeah, I'm really bummed about that one. I don't know what to say. I've heard that he took his own life, and man, I wish he would have just called me, and just because we did chat, and you know, after the tour, and he has his older son. I think his son was playing college football, and he was super proud of his kids. And yeah, that one really hits me hard, because Mike was one of those guys, like, he is just a nice man. He was just a good guy. You know, that there's, you know, let's face it, you know, it's a music business. So you can meet a lot of pricks in the business, you know, in bands and out of bands and agents and managers, whatever. But he was a good guy. He was a really nice guy and genuine person. And that one really bugs me. So, and then Joey died right around that same time when Mike did. And so it was, and then Dusty Hill, I never met Dusty Hill, of course, but obviously a huge ZZ Top fan. And, you know, sometimes they say things happen in threes, and I don't know, you know, but you know, we're getting older, and a lot of these guys in bands are getting older, and that's just a reality, unfortunately. And
yeah,
the older you get, the chances that your demise is a little closer is there. So that's why you got to cherish every moment. You really do. And that's all I can say about that, really. And you were mentioning somebody else. I'm sorry. Who else did you say?
Well, Dave Pritchard.
Oh, well, Dave. Oh,
yeah,
Dave.
Of course.
Dave was a vivacious, amazing human being, you know, and he died at 26. It was way too young. He had leukemia, and he fought it hard, and you know, he wanted to live his life to the fullest. And you know, it would be times we'd be getting hammered, and you know, I'd look over at Dave and I'd be like, should you be drinking this much rum because you got leukemia? But I wasn't judging him. I just knew that, like, he wanted to live. He wanted to live. He had so much life in his life. Hold on one quick sec. I'm sorry. Hold on.
No problem. Oh, this is pretty cool.
I'm starting my day here at work, and so if somebody's walking in, I had to open the door for them.
No,
sorry. Yeah. But you know, Dave is somebody that. Hold on. Sorry.
No sweat, dude. All good. Like, subscribe. Thank you.
I'm doing an interview. Sorry, that's reality here. You know, he was somebody who just wanted to, like I said, live life. And he was an amazing artist. He was an incredible guitarist. He was underrated as a player. You know, he kind of just dealt a shitty hand, and that's life. Nobody said life's fair. You know, why did he get this disease? I don't know. It sucked. And but he fought it till the end, and I cherish all the music we made together and the songs we wrote. And you know, I could go on with my life knowing that. So, and I always say that it's weird because, like, Jeff and Phil will play something sometimes, or Joey will write something, and it'll be like, that sounds like Dave, man. Wow, that's weird. It will sound like, it will just, like, it literally sounded like Dave. You know, of course those guys can, you know, reproduce leads that he did, of course, you know, pretty, you know, verbatim, but I don't know, certain note they'll hit or a certain chord that, you know, Joey has an idea of a song and he goes, check this out. And I was like, dude, that sounds like something Dave would write. Whether he consciously does that, probably a little bit, maybe not. It just is. So I always feel like his presence is just always around us. And we could carry that. And it's really cool. It really is like this thing that he's just always kind of there. He was always, you know, a jokester. So he would be, I'm sure he'd be busting our balls and poking fun at us all the time. And he had this flaming red hair, you know, and it was just, he was the ultimate ginger, you know, he just was that guy, you know, and he was a goof, man. And it was, I just have great memories. So too short, way too short in life, but you know, that's the way it is.
Well, I could see you spend enough time with each other in the studio, in the rehearsal room. You guys are going to rub off on each other, traveling those same musical waters, having the same DNA there. That's really cool how he not only lives on in their playing, but God, he's got a body of work that's just fun to listen to for me personally. So it's
we're putting out in October the Symbol of Salvation live record and DVD that we did because we did a tour in entirety. We didn't play Buffalo, sadly enough, but we played Toronto actually, and we hadn't played there in years. And it was really cool to go do that and play that record every night. And you realize how great that album really was. It was really diverse, a lot of cool different songs, different vibes. You know, you had the heavy hitters like Rain and Tribal Dance and Warzone, but then you had Last Train Home and you know, Another Day, which were really a little, you know, more epic type tunes, Tainted Past. So it was just a really cool, diverse album. And by playing it every night, we really realized how good it really was. And you know, Dave wrote a lot of those songs, so it's you know, he's just there again. And this thing's going to come out, and it's really cool. The DVD is going to be great because there's some funny banter. I like to goof around on stage when it comes to talking to the audience, and there's some funny moments, and you know, it's just the tunes are great, and that's going to be a fun. It'll be something that Armored Saint fans are going to really love.
And that's going to be coming out when?
Comes out in October. I can't.
Okay.
I don't know the exact date now off the top of my head, which is bad with me. But yeah, so I mean, Punching the Sky came out last October.
Yep.
This one comes out in October of this year. So as much as COVID is kind of, you know, ruined things, to say it mildly, we still keep trying to, you know, trug on, and we have this thing coming out, and we're still present, and we're gonna do some shows. We're doing shows at the end of the year. It's only 5, but it's on the West Coast with Black Label Society, so that's gonna be killer. We're gonna play
Prong.
Yeah, we're still, well, it's in December, but it's unfortunately it's just 5 shows. It's Reno, Frisco, LA, San Diego, and Phoenix, but it's gonna be awesome. It's, you know, we're super stoked to be playing with Zach. You know, he's amazing, and it's a great tour for us. And
he's a funny guy, isn't he?
yes, he is. He's you know, he's crazy. He's, you know, he's Zach, and so it'll be awesome to see him every night. And we're looking forward to those shows. And we're playing at Wiltern here in LA, which is a great theater. It's been around for years, and it's gonna be fun.
Nice. Yeah, we're looking forward to the October release of the Symbol of Salvation DVD. Can't wait to check that out and blast it. The surround sound here in downtown Buffalo.
Nice.
And December, you know, I got those 5 dates, but keep a lookout. You know, hopefully some more in 2022.
Yeah, exactly.
But Symbol of Salvation, Brian Slagle, man, he last week he went into the making of that record and getting you guys back together. That's his all-time favorite metal record. You are his all-time favorite metal voice, and
well, I don't know. Maybe I'm up there with a handful of other guys. I say that maybe, but he says that about Symbol, and that's really. I think he just knows I think that more than anything, you know, I'm sure I mean, Number of the Beast is, you know, there's many albums that you could put there as like classic, amazing heavy metal records, and it's you know, from front to back. But the thing about Symbol, and for Brian, that I'm sure he feels connected, is that he made that record happen. It was this close to not happening, and the band basically folding when Dave died, and he resurrected us, and he was the you know, he funded it, let's put it mildly, and or bluntly, and he made it happen. And so I think he feels he was so obligated in making it happen. And I think that's why he felt so close to it. On top of it, it's a great album. But you know, I think by knowing that he literally made that record happen, and it was about ready to not, I think that's what makes him even closer to it. So
Yeah. Last Train Home. What does that song mean to you?
Last Train Home is a song that I think, you know, during that time we just had a lot of uncertainties. I think that was the key. You know, we had gone through getting dropped from Chrysalis Records. We made 3 albums and then we got dropped, and then we found out about Dave's illness. He shared that with us. So there was just the future was extremely uncertain. It really was. But yet we kept going because we're like, well, what do we got? We got music. We got songs. We can write songs and we can make music, and you know, nothing is preventing us from doing that, even if we don't have a label. And even though he was sick, we could do it. So and so and that was the cool thing about it. Changed kind of the style of Saint a little bit. I mean, we were always this band that really kind of felt like we could do anything we wanted to do. We felt we were very versatile, and we could write a lot of different styles of songs, even though we were a metal band. But we didn't want to be limited to that. We kind of felt like we could do anything. You know, within reason, of course. But you know, I think that was the record, and that was the time where we just said let's just really open up. And so a song like Last Train Home, it just showed that we had a lot of diversity at that time, and the style, and it just, you know, that was a great song. It really had a lot of impact on us and on people, and you know, I just have great memories of that song, and knowing that it was a very important tune for us. It was great, and it had that epic feeling to it, you know, like a lot of other songs did, but in particular that one.
Yeah, that record and that song takes you on a journey, like Wherever I May Roam. It's a great listen, feels good. And I will say that, you know, I told Brian, it's one of those songs that when it finishes, I'm bummed. You know, I want to go listen to it again. And it's currently one of my goosebumps songs, man. I mean, I finished up with Brian last week, and I was so stoked that he gave me his time, and yourself included, to give me your time to chat. I just went right to that TV, surround sound, Last Train Home, and watched you with all that hair and the 90s production. And it was just a fucking great song, man.
Well, the video was kind of goofy, you know, in retrospect. I mean, you know, whatever. Again, what are you going to do? It looked him kind of laugh. Joey was up on the water tower, and luckily he didn't fall. You know, the trains, it was a cool area that we did it. It was this place called Parrish, California, which is like about 2 hours out of LA, and a lot of people skydive there. So it was a cool area. You know, John Cornairns is a good friend of ours back then. He made the Rain of Fire video, which was a better video. And then we made Last Train Home. Wasn't the video that I look back on with the most fun feelings, but the song is great. And Jeff actually wrote the bulk of that song. And you know, the verses were they just created this sound and this vibe in it. The beat is cool because it's kind of like a salsa beat. It's weird. So you know, Gonzo used a lot of his Latin style in creating this kind of salsa beat with the guitar riff, and the bass and the drums were totally locked in, and there was a lot of space to sing, and it was moody, and then has the big chorus that's just pretty explosive. And lyrically, you know, I think it just is a song of, you know, a feeling like I will get through whatever it is. I'll get there, you know, maybe the last train home, but I will get there. And that's kind of what I think is really the basic premise of that song.
Thank you for writing such a beautiful piece of music that lives on along with all your other records.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Love it. What are 3 metal songs that give you goosebumps? 3 that.
I saw that question. Well, I will say Victim of Changes by Judas Priest. I'm sure probably would always give me goosebumps. I mean, there's many, of course, but I was thinking certainly the first Black Sabbath song. My brother played that for me the first time. I heard it when I was like 5 years old. I think his objective was to scare me. Exactly. He's like, listen to this, and turned the lights out, and, you know, Satan. I was like, ah. But, you know, it had impact. And then maybe like Love to Love from UFO, one of my favorite bands. Fillmore is such a great singer. We did some shows with them a couple of years ago. It was so great because I love him as a singer, and kind of an underrated rock band, I think.
Yes.
We modeled a lot of our style of writing those kind of. I hate using the term ballad because it sounds very ballad. You think of something that's just cheesy, but Love to Love is a ballads type song, and we certainly use that model to write a bunch of songs in Saint, and it's just a great song. It always is gonna just have that heartwarming feeling with his voice, and Michael Schenker, who's probably still one of the greatest rock guitar players of all time, and again underrated. I think both those guys,
Yes,
musicians in that band in particular. So.
3 great choices. Former guest was Michael Kelly Smith of Cinderella, and Brittany Fox, a fellow who I'm still in touch with to this day, lead guitarist, and he's a diehard UFO fan, and he continues every once a week he'll share with me a UFO song, and it's just exactly what you said, man. They're underrated and they got a lot to offer. Michael Schenker, wow, love it. Last few questions here, John. I can't not ask you about your time in Anthrax, but what was the camaraderie like when you joined Anthrax for Sound of White Noise, recording that record? Did they were you free reign to write? And maybe what are some of the songs that stand out to you from your time with Anthrax that you're most proud of?
Yeah, it was a great time. It was all real fresh and new when I came in the band, and we wrote Only as the first song when we got together, and really it kind of just, and they already had it established to some degree, but then we kind of worked on the verses, and we had the chorus idea. I think Scott did, and the music was already written. It was just cool. You could hear that it sounded different. It just sounded very. When I heard the demo of that, I just thought, wow, that sounds different. It was '92, so the '90s were kicking in, and all these amazing bands like Soundgarden and Faith No More and Alice in Chains, and these groups that were just inspiring us. They were, because they were amazing, incredible bands, and and I think that just kind of motivated a different perspective on writing. And Charlie's an incredible writer. He's an awesome musician. He's a great guitar player. People know, but some people still don't know. I mean, they know he's an amazing drummer, but Charlie was the guy who wrote most of the old Anthrax songs and most of the new ones. And the new music, I Am the Law is his riff, so it's just incredible. He's a really talented person, and Only was just a song that just sounded like it was moving into a new direction. So I really am proud of that tune. It was a great album. Dave Jordan, I worked on back-to-back records with him because he did Symbol of Salvation, then he did Sound of White Noise. So it was pretty amazing to make back-to-back records with that guy, and super talented producer and fun guy to be in the studio with. Very has his dark sense of humor, and it was really it was just a fun time to make that. Made it up here about a mile away from me, where I'm at right now, at El Dorado, which it was called El Dorado then. That was it was Marvin Gaye's actual original studio, right on Sunset Boulevard. And I think it's still a studio now. I know it's not El Dorado anymore, but it was cool to be there and be in that environment. And we just had an open mind. It was a fun time to write songs, and I think Sound of White Noise is a really diverse album as well. It has a lot of killer tracks, Room for One More, Potter's Fiddle, Black Lodge. It's a great album, and then, there's a lot of, it's hard to match Sound of White Noise because it was such a great album and everybody was into it, in particular the label. And then the label went through a major upheaval and fired a bunch of people by the time Stomp came out. So Stomp was it was like a leftover thought from the label. I remember the head of the label, this woman named Sylvia Rohn, she ended up getting the job as the head of the label. And we had a meeting right after Stomp was recorded, and we're listening to it. And she goes, I would have never made a deal with Anthrax. I never would have done it. And we're like, huh? It was a weird thing to say to a band who just made a record, who just sold a gold album, and I would never have. So when she said that I would never have made this deal with you guys, we knew right then we're in trouble. That's not a good sign when you have the label telling you that. And the results were you could see they happened because of that. You know, I'm not going to blame it only on that, because sometimes it's just, synergy. And, Stomp didn't really have the same synergy that maybe Sound White Noise did, but nevertheless, it wasn't helped by the lack of labels contribution. But it's still a great album. Random Acts, I think, is a killer track, and Fueled was a great song and a great video. And there's songs on Volume 8 that I think are amazing album songs, like Crush, and I love. Well, let me think here. There's lots of cool songs from that, like Inside Out, that I'm just really proud of, actually. And then we made We've Come For You All, which is a killer record as well. So loved Safe Home, which is a great track, and songs like Refuse to Be Denied. And there's a lot of really cool music that we made in Anthrax that I'm super proud of. That I think we wrote some great tracks, and it's great memories. I was in the band for like almost 13 years, so we did a lot of things together.
Yeah, man. Well, just to our viewers, John Bush had replaced Joey Belladonna, the singer for Anthrax, and there's no bad blood there. That's what I've seen and read in recent interviews. You guys are buds, and you guys have your own badass fucking bands to champion around the world. But you're also, you're also in film and TV with your wife. I want to say Mike Lane, my very good buddy, former guest on I Ask No One. He's the singer and drummer of San Pedro, California death metal pioneers Detriment, and he met you in 2019 at an audition. He got a call back.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, "You're John Bush," And
that's hilarious.
He commented how nice of a guy you were, and I would have to agree.
Well, I did. My wife had started this business like 20 years ago, and it's a fun environment. It's kind of like our mom and pop business. We have that kind of environment here at our studio, and she's a casting director. She's done a bunch of different things, lots of different commercials. She actually done some movies. She did a lot of the subordinate characters for the movie 127 Hours, which was a great film, really intense movie. She did a Korn video. She cast. I mean, she's done so many different things. There's another casting director that works there. Her name's Shane Liam, and she's amazing. And it's fun to be in this environment because it's the entertainment world, and it's creative, and it's artistic, and it's fun to be here. And I meet a lot of great actors, and like I said, it's our mom and pop business. It pays the bills a lot of the time, and most of the time, should I say. And it's a fun environment. So, we were affected by COVID because people were doing a lot of tapes at home, a lot of self-tapes, Zoom stuff like we're doing. And that doesn't necessarily help our studio here because, we want people to come in and so we can justify having it. But it's a transition, it's going through it, and we're going to get through it as well. And we're excited about, the future, even though it's a little uncertain. But it is for everybody. Let's face it. I mean, God, the fact that rock and roll was literally shut down for live performances, and plays, and sporting events. I mean, it's insane how that happened. Like literally, nobody could tour. So it was a place where everybody was kind of in the same ballpark, from that, and that was very. I think we could at least all agree. It's like this sucks. No shows. I mean, I went to go see Joe Bonamassa at the Greek Theater recently. It was a great gig. He's an amazing player and killer musician. And nice. I think that was my first show in a long time when we went, and we were just excited to be at a gig. And it was fun to be at a gig, let alone play one. So, we'll get through it all. And same with our business, and same with rock and roll. We'll get through it.
What's the name of her business?
It's a casting studio called Silver Lane Studios, and it's again for commercial casting primarily.
Okay. Yeah, Mike Lane. That was a Progressive commercial he was part of, and I lived for 4 years in Southern California. I was in that world. We didn't cross paths, but I got my SAG number, and
really?
I could always return to it, someday. But
I admire acting a lot. It's an amazing trait, and it's hard, man. These guys, it's a tough business, man. It's cutthroat. It's You know, it's unforgiving. It's, you know, you got to have Teflon. You got to be made of Teflon because it's tough, man. Like you get the rejection. You have to be able to deal with it. And just like musicians, people say, you want to be an actor? I'm like, I love acting, but I've already been rejected as a musician. I'm going to go to that now? Like, that's even worse. So I've done some things here, you know, and I've done voiceover work too, and that's been real fun. But,
Burger King? Yeah, Burger
I did that. I mean, granted, it was a long time ago now, but it was still fun. It was great. It was a great run, and I love doing it. I love using my voice in different ways. But you know, I love acting. It's great. You know, then if you got your SAG card, then you must have done some stuff because you have to do things to get it eventually. And progressive commercials are a great thing to get. As a matter of fact, we've cast probably 30 of them here at our studio, and the director is great. His name's Brendan Gibbons. He's a great director. He's awesome. He does the bulk of them, and he's just really. They're always really witty and, you know, dark and kind of awkward, and I love that part of the progressive angle. So it's a good commercial to get because you know they're going to run the crap out of it.
Yeah. If we could just pause for a sec, because I'm running out of battery here. This is
and I'm about ready to actually start my work day. I came into my studio so I would be here to do, because I knew this interview was going to be lengthy, and I needed to be here because I didn't want to have to come here after work. So I probably need to wrap it up too. As much as I would love to keep chatting with you, because this has been a really fun.
Yes, right back at you, man. There's a track on the new record, came out last year. A Punch in the Sky was the record. Song called "End of the Attention Span," and "Lone Wolf," which is awesome.
There you go. Nice.
In maybe 20, 30 seconds, end of the attention span. What does that mean to you?
It was a lyric idea that actually Phil came up with, and I thought it was really cool. And it obviously had so much that you could write with based on. And you know, I think that we have that issue as society. I mean, there's beautiful things and amazing things regarding technology. I mean, come on, we're having this interview. This is like 30 years ago, this would be science fiction, you know, and now here we are, we don't even think about it anymore. We're just having this visual conversation. So that's awesome. But, you know, I sometimes think these things, they kill us, you know, they're just like, we're zombies, you know, and I see it with my kids, and I see it with myself, you know, and I think it could be very detrimental. It's funny because this whole thing about freedom is such a topic, but like, this is the ultimate freedom taker. This is it.
Yes.
Every single, they can track you, you know, you're putting every sort, if you have Twitter, you do Facebook, dude, this is, if you don't want to have freedom, if you want true freedom, you need to put this in the garbage. I'm not going to do it, but I'm saying if you really want freedom, this is taking it away from you.
Amen.
You know, it really is. So, I mean, it's a necessary evil, as we all know. And, you know, I got a text, I just have a few, but, you know, like, it's about balance. I think that's what the key of that song is. I'm not saying it's all bad. That's why I poked fun a little bit about, you know, filming the show and the second verse. I thought it was kind of funny, but it's like, it's balance. It's finding balance. And I struggle with it like everybody. So
yeah, that's right. I love that you wrote about that and you put it out there. It's really anti-social media, right? It's not social media, it's anti-social media. And
I actually don't have any social media. Yeah, I don't have, I mean, the band does for sure, of course. I don't have Facebook. I don't have Twitter. It's a choice I made. Sometimes the label's like, oh, dude, you're cutting your own throat. I'm like, you know what? I'll do any interview that you give. If you have interviews with people, I'll happily do them. But I just can't. Like, I have a hard enough time finding time to see the people I want to see, let alone like, dude, I went to school with you in the 3rd grade. I'm like, there's a reason we're probably not friends anymore. Sorry, dude.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, just in closing, thank you. Thank you so much. Honored again to have you on. I Ask No One. If you liked what you saw, to our viewers, like or subscribe's awesome. And next week, we got Bumblefoot joining me,
Awesome. Cool.
Guitarist, you know. We're going to keep a lookout for the Symbol of Salvation in October, and R.I.P. Mike Howe. You know, depression does not have a face, and you know, to be mindful of that and to check in, stay happy, stay healthy, stay hungry, stay heavy.
Dude, thanks a lot for the rad interview, man. Appreciate it. You had some great questions, and more than anything, we just had a good conversation. So hopefully people enjoy it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. See you,
Thank
John.
you, brother. See you later. Go Sabres.
Yeah, go Sabres.
Bye.
Later.